Hello friends, welcome to Drishti IAS YouTube channel. Myself Abhishek Mishra, and in this session I'll be discussing about mains answer writing tips and tricks. As you know that UPSC mains answer writing is a very critical component if you want to succeed in this exam. Now the mains exam is going to be held this year from 21st of August and we should be ready for it. So in this video I'll be discussing some of the crucial aspects that you should keep in mind for mains answer writing. So let us start the session. Right. So in this session, we'll be discussing about the UPSC mains answer writing, and I'll be discussing the following things with you in this session, which is the structure or format of the answer that we have to write in UPSC mains, then the difference between content and presentation, which is more important, and what exactly it involves. So we'll be looking at that. Then the very crucial aspect is the word limit and time limit that we need to keep in mind while mains answer writing. And finally, we'll be looking at how to make our answers stand out, that is, what to do for value addition in mains answer writing. So let us first start with the format or structure of the answer. So the answer structure is quite simple. That is, it has mainly three parts: introduction, the body of the answer, and the conclusion or way forward. Now, introduction in GS papers can also be left. That means it is not necessary that we have to write an introduction in the GS mains answers, because sometimes the question is very direct, and because we have to follow the word limit and the time limit, so sometimes we can actually let go of the introduction. But it is a best practice if we write a very brief intro, and that should be hardly 1 or 2 lines, where we establish the context of the question, or we just say something about why this has been asked, because recently some event had happened, so we can give a current reference and start the answer, or we can just define the concept which has been asked in the question. So that is how we write the introduction. So basically, to establish the context of the question, and it has to be very short. So maximum 1 or 2 lines, that is it, right? We should not exceed it. And in some questions we can just leave the introduction part, right? Especially in GS. Now, when we come to the body of the answer, that is where we mainly answer the question, and it can be again, we can use bullet points, or we can make use of small paragraphs. The paragraphs should not be very long, and also the sentences should also be short, because if we write a very long sentence and we use multiple commas, then sometimes the sense of the sentence may not exactly convey what we want to convey. So we should always try to write a very crisp and short sentences, right, which is conveying the meaning exactly. We should also be careful that we are writing grammatically correct and no spelling mistakes, which creates a good impression on the paper checker, right? So main points will be covered in the body, and we have to adhere to the word limit. I'll come to that, how we measure that. Then the conclusion or way forward. This is a very crucial part of the answer. We can ignore the introduction in GS answers, but conclusion or way forward is a must. And it is very important, because this is the last thing that the examiner will read before awarding you marks for that question. So you have to create a good impression, and a balanced opinion has to reflect in your conclusion or way forward, right? So it is very important. And what we do basically, and here if you have a good vocab, it helps you, because with a good vocabulary you will be able to use different words for summing up or summarizing what you have stated in the answer. Otherwise it will look like a repetition, so you should avoid that. So basically in 2-3 lines we should be trying to sum up what we have stated in the answer, right? So that is very, very important. Conclusion is a very important part. So introduction, body and conclusion. But if we have to ignore something, then introduction can be ignored in the GS answers, right? But as a rule, generally, if we write a one-line introduction, it is always better. Next, we come to the content and presentation part, right? How to divide it and which is more important. So both are important. The content is important as well as how we are presenting it. But if we have to look at its relative importance, then I would like to state that content is 70% of the answer and 30% is about the presentation, right? So without content, we cannot write an answer and we will not get very good marks, even if we are writing very neat and clean, if we are making it very visually appealing. But if the content is not there, we will not get the marks. On the other hand, if the content is really good, but if we are not presenting it beautifully or we are not presenting it in a neat and clean manner, we may get less marks than what we can get if we present it nicely. So ideally, a blend of both is what is needed in UPSC Mains answer writing. So the content is basically what to write and presentation is how to write it. Okay. Now in the content, the most important factor is understanding the demand of the question, right? What exactly is the question demanding from us? Sometimes what happens is we read a question and we just focus on a particular keyword, right? And that may not be exactly the demand of the question. So to understand the demand of the question clearly, we should read the question 2-3 times and try to fully understand what exactly is the examiner expecting from us, and then we have to brainstorm on it. Brainstorm means that we have to think about relevant points which we have studied, which comes to our mind on thinking, and we must jot it down roughly using a pencil on a rough paper. And then finally, once we have tried to brainstorm sufficiently on the question, then we should organize those points, because in brainstorming we don't restrict our thoughts, but we have to organize that which point can go into the introduction, which point can come into the body, and which point can be used in the conclusion. Once we do that, then we start writing the answer, right? So that is about mainly the content part. So we have to understand the demand of the question, then we have to brainstorm, jot down the points, and then organize these points and then start writing the answer. What about the presentation? So presentation has to be neat and clean. Suppose we make a mistake, a simple spelling mistake we make, right? Instead of A, if somebody writes E. So sometimes our tendency is we cut it like this. That should not be done. If we have made a mistake, right? So the best way is to strike it with one single line, with one single stroke. That is a more mature way of cutting if you make any mistake. First of all, try to ensure that such mistakes do not happen, but if inadvertently it happens, then let us still keep our answer sheet as clean as possible. So neat and clean presentation helps because it gives a good impression on the examiner. Then we should try to write grammatically correct sentences. So sentences need to be short and they should convey exactly what we want to convey, right? No need to write very high sounding words. Simple English is what is needed, which conveys what we want to convey about any particular point. So simple English but grammatically correct English. Then another question arises that we should be writing in bullet points or paragraphs. So ideally it should depend on the nature of the question. For example, if a question is asking us to list down something, then obviously bullet points is the better approach. If a question is asking us to critically analyze something, then maybe small paragraphs would be better suited for that question. So we have to decide based on the question, and sometimes it can also be a hybrid approach where we make use of bullet points plus we also write small paragraphs. Then visual representation. This also adds value to our answers. And for this, we need to be prepared beforehand. So in mains, the better thing as compared to prelims is that we can actually try to predict what kind of questions can be asked or from which themes question can be asked in exam, and we can be ready with some visual representation, some diagrams, flowcharts, etc. if a question is asked on expected topics. So in the examination hall itself, we should not be thinking about what diagram we will draw or what flowchart we can use. It should be ready beforehand, and we should directly execute it on the answer script, right? So visual representation is helpful, and for this we can make use of line diagrams, we can make use of diagrams, maps, etc. if our drawing is good, or simple flowcharts or line diagrams is also handy. Plus what we can do for value addition is sometimes we can quote Supreme Court judgments depending on the question, various reports, recommendations of law commission or any such committees, they can be quoted, and in the bracket while quoting such thing we should give the year and the name of the committee or the report. So that is always a best practice, and it adds value to our answer, right? For example, I already discussed with you that which is better, bullet points or paragraphs. So it should be based on the nature of the question mainly, because both styles are fine, and it also depends on with which style you are more comfortable, right? So nature of question should be the deciding criteria, and bullet points save us time because we need to write less, and it makes for easier reading also. So generally if everything is equal, then if the choice is between bullet points or small paragraphs, then bullet points is the better approach. But then it depends on you also with which style you are more comfortable. If you are more comfortable writing small paragraphs, then do that. Hybrid approach can also be used, where part of the answer we use bullet points and part of the answer we use small paragraphs. That can also be done. For visual representation, diagrams can be used, maps can be used, flowcharts can be used. For example, if a question comes on Indus water treaty, so we can simply, if you're good at making diagrams, you can just show, make a map of Jammu and Kashmir area, and then you can show the rivers coming out of it, right? So that is how you can do it. Otherwise, a line diagram can also be done, where you show the Indus water treaty and how it divides the Indus basin rivers into western rivers and eastern rivers. That can also be done, right? So maps can be used, diagrams, specific diagrams can be used, and it can also be simple line diagrams. Then flowcharts can also be used. For example, if one has to talk about something like a question is on lithium, right? And you have to talk about this lithium, then maybe you can talk about the lithium triangle, right? And you can label it like this. So the three countries, Argentina, Bolivia and Chile, right? So that can be done. Then if you are maybe writing an answer on good governance, so we can use an octagon, right, to show the 8 parameters of good governance, which are like rule of law, right, transparency, accountability, then we have equity and inclusiveness, then efficiency and effectiveness, participatory, consensus orientation, and responsive, right? So if you can if you have practiced like this, so what it does is same thing you can also write, but showing it in a visual form, it adds to the visual appeal, and it can fetch you half marks or 1 mark extra, which is very, very crucial in UPSC mains answer writing. So that is the meaning or requirement when we say that do some value addition. Also giving relevant current examples, right? So if a question has come on uniform civil code and you can just maybe give a very relevant law commission recommendation on uniform civil code. So it adds value. So these are the things which we should be prepared beforehand to use in mains answer writing, and it adds value and it fetches us more marks. Right. So here I told you about the visual representation. The other thing is the current examples, where, as I told you, we can make use of Supreme Court judgments, law commission reports, relevant statistics reports, recommendations, etc. Right. So we should be already ready with it and we should directly use it. It's always better when we are giving some information that means that what the law commission has stated. If we can just mention within brackets the year in which the recommendation has been given and by which body or organization, again it is a best practice and should be done. Okay, so we can add the name of the report or organization, etc. in brackets. Next, we come to a very critical part of UPSC mains answer writing, especially for the GS papers, that is word limit and time limit. Now, we know that the time limit for the UPSC GS papers is 3 hours, right? For all the mains paper, it is 3 hours. 3 hours translates into 180 minutes. So, if we take out 10 minutes for some formalities that you will be required to do in the examination hall, for example, signing on the attendance sheet, right, filling up your roll number, etc., on the answer script, etc. So that takes at least 10 minutes of your time. Now, if we remove those 10 minutes and we bring it down to 170 minutes and we divide it by 20 questions which are there in GS 1, 2 and 3 which you need to attempt. So the average time that you have for each question to attempt each question is around 8.5 minutes, right? 8.5 minutes. Now, out of these 8.5 minutes, how you need to balance or manage your time? So, see, it will depend again from individual to individual, but still, on average, what we should do is that we have around 8.5 minutes for attempting each of the questions. So how we should divide it for each question is like this, that understanding the demand of the question is very, very critical. So what we should do, the first 1.5 minutes should be devoted to reading the question multiple times, trying to clearly identify what exactly is the examiner expecting from us. And then we have to brainstorm on this. So 1.5 minutes for understanding the demand of the question, where we read the question multiple times, understand what is being asked. Then the next 2 minutes we should devote on trying to brainstorm, that is trying to remember all the relevant points that we can think of relating to that question. So once we jot down the points, then the next thing that we need to do within these 2 minutes is to organize it. For example, which point will go in the introduction, which point will come in the body, and which point will come in the conclusion. Now, this seems very complicated, but believe me, with practice, it will become automatic. So one has to do a lot of practice of answer writing. So once you do that, then you are left with around 5 minutes, or it may be 4.5 minutes if you take half minute extra in the first 2 steps. So the third step is to write down the answer. So within 4.5 to 5 minutes, you write down the answer, right? Keeping to the word limit. Because if you write extra, you take more time and then you will have less time for the remaining questions. So we have to respect the time limit, okay, of 8.5 minutes for each question. And no need to think like for 250 words you need more time, or for 150 words. Generally, you should practice that any question you should be able to do within 8.5 minutes, right? Or if you want, you can maybe take 1 minute more for the 250 words question and 1 minute less for the 150 words question. But in my view, if we keep the time limit as 8.5 minutes for all the questions that we are attempting, then it is simpler and easier to do. Now, in the mains question paper of GS 1 to 3, we'll have 10 questions which has to be written in 150 words, 10 questions which have to be written in 250 words. These are for 10 marks and these are for 15 marks. Now, how to measure or how to count the number of words? So you need not count every single word that you are writing. in general, what we do, for example, this is my average sentence length or line length in how many words I'm writing in one line. So I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 words in one line, right? So that means to come up to 150 words, how many lines will I need to write? So I'll need to write 30 lines, okay, more or less 30 lines. For example, if somebody is writing 10 words in one line, so the person has to write how many? 15 lines, okay. So that is the general idea you should keep. So just count the number of words you are writing on each line more or less, and then multiply it with the number of lines. That will give you an exact idea how many words you are writing. Now, nobody can be 100% accurate that we write only 150 words or 250 words. So there is a margin of error. That means plus minus 20 or 30 words. That means 2 lines more, 2 lines less, or 3 lines more, 3 lines less in the bigger questions. So that is what you need to do. Okay, and the strategy should be not to exceed the word limit. We should try to stick to the word limit, because that will be very, very helpful. So this is what you need to do, keep in mind for the word limit and time limit for GS mains answer writing. Right. Finally, we come to the cutoff. So the cutoff for UPSC mains personality test last year, that is for UPSC Civil Services Exam 2025, for general category was 739. For the other categories, it was little less than this. Okay. So if we are wanting interview call, so we should keep in mind a number like this that we should be targeting. So for this, it is very, very important that in GS, we should target a score of 400 plus, right? We should be targeting a score of 400 plus, and it can be done. It can be done with good preparation and practice, right? And here, answer writing can be the game changer. If you just, if you know the content well, but if you cannot present it well, then you will always get less marks. So the idea should be to know the content well and also to present it well, right? And it you get better with practice. So the idea should be to practice as much as you can, right? The first step is to get some control, some mastery over the content, and then it is all about practice. So the more you practice, the better you get. The first question, the first answer you write, and the 10th answer you write, and the 100th answer you write, there will be a lot of difference, and you can yourself feel it, right? So this was about the answer writing. Now Drishti IAS has come out with certain programs to help you in your journey for UPSC Mains 2026. So let me just tell you what Drishti IAS has brought for you. So Drishti IAS has brought some specialized programs for Mains 2026. One of these is the Ethics Enrichment Program, which is commencing from 15th of June. For more details, you can call at this number 87501 87501, or you can just click on the link given in the description. The features of this course are there will be around 12 classes, there will be 5 tests, 2 sectional and 3 full length, and also value added concept notes will be given in these classes, and it is available in both the mediums, English as well as Hindi. Next program is the Essay Excellence Program. It starts on 13th of June, and in this there will be 5 classes plus 5 tests, right? So classes will be on Saturdays and the tests will be on Sundays. There will be 2 half-length tests plus 3 full-length tests, and there will be discussion of these essays with the faculty during class. And value-added concept notes will also be provided in this program, right? So this is about the Essay Excellence Program. For more details, you can click on the link below, right? Next program is the value-added current affairs course. So GS2, GS3 applied current affairs course is there, and it is also commencing from 15th of June. There will be 20 classes and 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. The aim of these classes will be to make you understand and learn how to link current affairs with the static portion of the syllabus. GS2 and GS3 are very critical if you are aiming for 400 plus score in GS papers, right? So in these classes, there will be subject-wise current affairs compilations, which will also be provided to you as part of this program, right? So this is the program for GS2 and GS3, the applied part of current affairs. This program is also available in both the mediums, English medium and Hindi medium, and you can click on the link below for more details given in the description, or you can just call on this number 87501 87501. Finally, another program that Drishti IAS has brought for you is the GS previous year question answer writing program, PYQ, and it commences again on 15th of June. The features are that here you will have PYQs covered from 2016 to 2025, and it will be a value added concept notes which will be provided for each of the GS papers. So you will be getting value added concept notes for each of the GS papers, and the recorded video lectures will be given in this course, which will be 2 videos added daily from 15th June onwards. The final program is the optional PYQ answer writing program. It also commences on 15th of June. The features of these programs are again PYQs covered from 2021 to 2025. Then in English medium, the optionals which are available are PSIR, history, public administration, psychology, geography, anthropology, sociology, and philosophy. In the Hindi medium, PSIR and history are available, right? So this program is available for these optionals, right? So this is it from my side for this session. I'll see you in another session with some more concepts. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.